During his tenure as boss of the Genovese Crime Family, how many mob hits were allegedly ordered by Vincent Chin Gigante? Let's check it out. Welcome to OC Shorts, bringing you detailed historical snapshots of the American Mafia and other organised crime. Feel free to subscribe if you like that sort of thing. Today, we're going to take a quick look at the mob murders allegedly ordered by Vincent Chin Gigante during his reign as the boss of the Genovese Crime Family. According to most sources, Vincent Chin Gigante officially ran the Genovese Crime Family from 1981 until his death in 2005. There are those who theorise that Gigante actually secretly succeeded Vito Genovese as boss in 1969. However, from the FBI files, court documents and informant reports that I have read, this isn't the case. And in fact, Vincent Gigante wasn't even an official captain until the 1970s. So for the purpose of this video, we will be looking at the hits that Gigante ordered in the time period from 1981 until 2005. This therefore excludes some famous murders such as that of Anthony Tony Bananas Caponigro, Alfredo Salerno, and Gerry Pappa, all of which occurred in 1980. In the summer of 1981, Genovese family mobster Cosmo Carli Di Pietro went missing. His body was never discovered. Carli Di Pietro was a mobster who frequented the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Two of his known criminal associates were Angelo Tuminaro of the Lucchese family and Frank Mari of the Mangano crime family. Frank Mari was in fact married to Di Pietro's sister Mildred. Di Pietro had a conviction for narcotics and was part of the Lower East Side's smuggling and distribution ring that obtained its heroin from the Catroni organisation in Canada. As mentioned, Carli Di Pietro would disappear in 1981. A newspaper writes a single line about Di Pietro's disappearance a couple of years later. It reads, "Cops identified the suspect as Rocco Rocky Di Pietro, 24, son of Carlo Di Pietro, a reputed Genovese crime family captain who disappeared 2 years ago and is presumed dead." There is little information on this unsolved murder, but it can potentially be seen as one of the first murders under Vincent Gigante's reign as boss. In September 1981, Gambino crime family captain Frank Piccolo, who operated out of Connecticut, was in a dispute with members of the Genovese family. Vincent Gigante reached out to Gambino family boss Paul Casteallano, stating that he wanted to have Piccolo dealt with. Paul Casteallano approved the hit, and then on September the 19th, 1981, Frank Piccolo was gunned down near a phone booth. The gunmen were mobsters associated with the Genovese crime family. Members of the Gambino family were furious that Paul Casteallano had let one of their own captains be killed by mobsters associated with another family, with many believing that they should have handled the hit themselves. On June the 22nd, 1982, Genovese mobster Georgie Rush Zappola disappeared. In the early 1980s, associates of Zappola's crew shot Nicholas Nicky Cowboy Mormondo, who was a Gambino family associate who was on record with Gambino soldier Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano. Allegedly, Zappola and his crew also planned to kill Gravano. Sammy the Bull heard about the plot from Genovese associate Robert Scarpacci, and he arranged a meeting with Genovese boss Vincent Gigante. It was decided that George Zappola's associates would not be punished, but Zappola was called to a meeting to explain himself with Vincent Gigante's brother Mario, who was a captain at the time. Evidently, Mario Gigante and his brother were not satisfied with George Zappola's reasons, and on June the 22nd, 1982, Georgie Rush Zappola disappeared. 8 days later, Zappola's right hand washed up on a beach in Long Island. The following day, his head came ashore in Bayville. In 1982, Genovese Crime Family mobster Philly Buono approached alleged family underboss Saverio Sammy Black Santora and informed him that a family associate by the name of Nathan Nat Masselli was cooperating with the authorities. To potentially complicate things further, Nat Masselli was the son of a made man in the Genovese crime family by the name of William Pellegrino Billy the Butcher Masselli. Genovese family soldier turned government witness Vincent Fish Cafaro would later recall, "In August 1982, I was standing on the corner of 116th Street in New York City with Sammy Santora and Philly Buono. Santora was the underboss of my brigade, and Buono was a soldier at that time. Buono pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket that was about Billy Masselli's kid, Nat, whom Buono described as no good, he's a rat. Buono gave Santora the paper, and Santora read it. Santora then asked Buono, 'Could this kid hurt you?' Buono responded, 'Yeah, we done a few things together.' Santora told Buono, 'I'll take care of it. I've got to go see the skinny guy and the chin. I know the skinny guy to be Bobby Manna, the consigliere of our brigade, and the chin to be Vincent Gigante, the boss of our brigade.' Santora told Buono he would get back to him the next day. Having heard their conversation, I knew that Buono was asking for an okay or permission to kill Billy Masselli's kid. A soldier always needs permission for a hit from the boss, underboss and consigliere of his brigade. He usually receives that permission through his capo regime. At the time, Santora was both the underboss of our brigade and the capo regime of the 116th Street crew. The next day, I saw Santora again on 116th Street. I asked him, 'How did you make out? Did you see those guys?' Santora replied, 'Yeah, I got the okay. I got to go see Philly and tell him he can do what he wants with the kid.' To me, this meant that Santora had obtained approval for the murder of Masselli's kid from the boss, Gigante, and consigliere Bobby Manna. A few days later, I read about the murder of Nat Masselli in the newspaper. And so, as mentioned, with the approval from Gigante, Nat Masselli was murdered by Philly Buono with the assistance of Salvatore Salio Adorno. Philly Buono was the man who pulled the trigger. Nat Masselli was found shot to death behind the wheel of his car in the Bronx. Philly Buono was later convicted of this murder. I've covered the Nat Masselli murder in greater detail in a previous video, and I've included the link to this in the comments below. In 1986, Gambino family underboss Frankie DeCicco was murdered when he was blown up by a car bomb after leaving a social club in Brooklyn. This famous murder has been well documented, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. The actual murder was handled by the Lucchese crime family, but it is widely believed that the order came from Genovese boss Vincent Gigante. It is thought that Vincent Gigante ordered the killing due to Frankie DeCicco's involvement in the murder of former Gambino boss Paul Casteallano in December 1985. There are some who speculate that the murder of Gambino captain Eddie Lino in 1990 was also revenge for his involvement in the Casteallano murder. Some sources state that the primary target when Frankie DeCicco was hit was in fact John Gotti, but that Gotti hadn't shown at the social club that day. In May 1988, the body of Genovese family mobster Johnny D. DiGilio was pulled from Hackensack River. Johnny D had been a feared mobster who was a powerful figure on the New Jersey waterfront. DiGilio's downfall came when he ignored the wishes of his mob superiors. In November 1987, John DiGilio went on trial for extortion charges regarding his International Longshoremen's Association activity. However, DiGilio decided to represent himself at trial, against the orders of family boss Vincent Gigante and family consigliere Louis Bobby Manna. DiGilio had been a former professional boxer, and he made a spectacle of the trial and invited his boxing friends Jake LaMotta, Joe Frazier and Rocky Graziano to come and support him. He also openly spoke to the media throughout the proceedings. To make matters worse, a tape recording was played in the trial where John DiGilio was heard disrespectfully talking about then family underboss Venero Benny Eggs Mangano. Despite representing himself in court, John DiGilio was actually acquitted. However, his 3 co-defendants, union officials connected with the Genovese family, were all convicted. The hierarchy of the secretive Genovese family was furious. They had wanted a low-key trial, or even a plea deal. John DiGilio's fate was sealed. On May 7, 1988, Johnny D's wife reported him missing, and on May 26th, a body bag was pulled from Hackensack River. Inside was the corpse of John DiGilio. The triggerman in this hit was mobster Louis Arricchio, who shot John DiGilio 5 times in the head. He was later convicted of his murder. I cover the life and career of John DiGilio in greater detail in a previous video. The link for this is in the comments below. In November 1988, the body of longtime Genovese mobster Anthony Hickey DiLorenzo was found in the backyard of his New Jersey home. He'd received a single gunshot to the head. DiLorenzo had lived a colourful life and had even once escaped from prison and went on the run to South America, before later being captured. After his release from prison, his mob colleagues thought that he was acting strange. He was openly and loudly talking about drug deals, much to the annoyance of his mob superiors. He had also been associating with longtime Lucchese family mobster and known drug trafficker Joseph Jobek di Palermo. Regarding Hickey DiLorenzo, Genovese captain and future family consigliere Jimmy Ida told Lucchese mobster Al Diaco, "You know what we're going to do, right? We're going to whack him." And so, on November 25th, 1988, with approval from family boss Vincent Gigante, Anthony Hickey DiLorenzo was shot to death at his home. The shooter in this hit is believed to have been Joey Ida, brother of then captain Jimmy Ida. I've covered the life and times of Hickey DiLorenzo in a previous video, and the link to this is in the comments below. On the 14th of June 1991, 56-year-old mob associate Ralph DeSimone was found shot to death in the trunk of his car. As one newspaper reported, Ralph Cousin DeSimone Jr., 55, manager of the Fort Lee Brushless Car Wash at 1620 Bergen Boulevard, was found shot to death in the trunk of his car at LaGuardia Airport on Thursday. He was hogtied and had a plastic bag over his head. A day earlier, his son Anthony had received a ransom demand of $150,000 a few hours after the elder DeSimone left the Fort Lee business. But the caller never got back to the family, which notified police of the kidnapping Wednesday night. An investigator familiar with the case said the ransom call may actually have been a ploy by organised crime figures to alert the younger DeSimone and his family that his father was in trouble. Such a call could have been out of respect to the DeSimone family, so that it might alert authorities to begin searching for him, the source said. Powerful Genovese mobster Liborio Barney Bellomo was linked with ordering the murder, as he was acting boss at the time. But Bellomo passed 2 lie detector tests in prison years later, much to the annoyance of the authorities. According to federal prosecutor Nelson Boxer, Ralph DeSimone was killed because the Genovese family feared that he was an informant. Ultimately, authorization for the hit would have come from family boss Vincent Gigante. In 1998, Ralph Coppola, an acting Genovese family captain, disappeared. His body never discovered. Ralph Coppola had been a made man in the Genovese family's 116th Street crew, and was also a childhood friend of future boss Liborio Bellomo. Coppola had been promoted to acting captain of the crew when Bellomo was elevated to the position of acting boss of the family in 1990. However, in 1998, Ralph Coppola's mob superiors believed that he was skimming money from the family. And with Bellomo in prison at the time, the then acting boss of the family, Frank Piccolo, pushed for Coppola's murder. There are rumours that his old friend Bellomo gave the okay for the hit, but ultimately the sign-off would have come from imprisoned family boss Vincent Gigante. I've covered the life of Ralph Coppola and his murder in greater detail in a previous video. The link to this is in the comments below. In November 2003, Genovese family captain Adolfo Big Al Bruno was gunned down in a parking lot. Bruno had been the captain that ran the crime family's Springfield, Massachusetts rackets, as one newspaper reported. Adolfo Al Bruno, reputed to be one of Springfield's top organised crime figures with ties to Connecticut, died in a hail of bullets hours before a chief rival was ordered jailed, leaving open who was in control of the local faction of the New York City-based Genovese crime family. Bruno, 58, was fatally shot in the chin, neck, elbow, cheek and groin about 9:15 p.m. Sunday in the parking lot of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Society, where he often went on Sunday evenings to play cards, Noonan said. He was getting into a sports utility vehicle with a male friend when another man called Bruno's name, Noonan said. As Bruno turned to answer, shots broke out and he fell, still clutching his cigar. He was pronounced dead at Bay State Medical Center in Springfield. No one else was injured. The Genovese captain was killed after the FBI accidentally dropped his name into a pre-sentencing court document for mobster Emilio Fusco. The document stated that Bruno had provided information on the Genovese crime family's affairs. When Emilio Fusco, who was awaiting sentencing, saw Adolfo Bruno's name in the document, he was furious and reached out to his mob colleagues. The request for the hit would have reached imprisoned boss Vincent Gigante, who ultimately gave authorization. The final murder under Vincent Gigante's reign as boss was that of acting captain Lawrence Ricci. In October 2005, Lawrence Ricci was on trial relating to union racketeering. His mob superiors had ordered him to take a plea deal, but Ricci ignored the request. On October 7th, 2005, Lawrence Ricci failed to show up in court. His body was found on November 30th in the trunk of a car in New Jersey. He had been shot to death. Gigante was in ill health in prison at the time and would pass away in December that year, so it is unclear if he gave the authorization for this hit. But technically, the Lawrence Ricci hit remains the last murder under his tenure as official boss of the Genovese crime family. For further detailed information on the Larry Ricci murder, please watch a previous video I made on this. The link to this is in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below if you think I've missed any murders that occurred under Vincent Gigante's reign. I hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching.